Stand back and peep the light show. Green Lantern's got this!
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, if you listen to the media, it's hard to tell which frickin' side they're on. I mean, what happened to the patriotism? You'd think these people are on the side of frickin' China. And it's just crazy to me the way they're spinning this thing. They're acting as if Donald Trump's the bad guy, Donald Trump's the crazy guy. Oh, and the richest one is Donald Trump has surrendered, Donald Trump has caved. Yeah, you know what's the opposite of surrendering? Frickin' doubling down. Going from a 10% increase in tariff to 125, and I think just today it was increased to 145. Yeah, I'd say that's the opposite of surrender. And I feel like a proper American media, a media that had an ounce of patriotism, would be telling the truth here. The headline shouldn't be that Donald Trump is screwing up and Donald Trump gave up, Donald Trump surrendered, he caved. No, the narrative should be that China has screwed up bigly. They're the ones who are permanently putting their economy at risk and acting in such incredible bad faith, and Donald Trump with his pressure campaign is totally frickin' exposing them. China has once again shown its true colors. Let me show you guys exactly what's being reported by The Hill. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, so this popped up on my timeline, and I gotta tell ya, as I was reading this article, I got increasingly more and more frustrated. The headline alone is enough to blow a fuse. China on increased Trump tariffs. US must show, quote, respect for any talks. Leaders in Beijing say that they will not buckle under President Trump's heightened tariffs on Chinese imports, signaling a willingness to escalate the trade war if potential negotiations are not done with, quote, respect. Despite vowing to keep up the fight, China's foreign ministry on Thursday said the country is open to talks to mitigate the tariffs, but noted that any negotiations must be done in a manner of respect for both parties. Now, one thing I gotta say is tremendously obvious. The Chinese Communist Party, the communist leaders over there, are clearly pissing their pants, but they're doing it in typical CCP fashion, thumping their chests and acting like the paper tiger that we know they are by attempting to make demands. You will show respect if you want to deal with us. What immediately comes to mind is thoughts of my father speaking in Greek. The quote instantly popped up in my mind, "Katse katoia moto Christosu." Excuse the vulgarity to my Greek viewers and the horrible Greek accent. And just to translate for those who don't speak Greek, that means sit the F down in the most disrespectful way possible. Show you respect. This coming from possibly the most disrespectful country on the world stage. They've looted our intellectual property for decades, flooded our universities with spies. And it's not just spies. We're now learning that China at one point passed a law requiring every Chinese national to report back intelligence that they've gathered during their time in the United States.
I filed a bill yesterday to deny now student visas to Chinese students because China has just passed a law that now requires every national to gather intelligence, including Chinese students here studying, gather intelligence and report back. How do we not pass a law that prevents student visas in that respect? I mean, in the past few years, we've had an explosion of Chinese students that were caught gathering evidence or gathering information on military bases, on college campuses. How do we as lawmakers, policymakers not do that?
They do nothing but cheat and steal. They join the WTO and then crap all over international trade order. They hack the government, hack corporations, manipulate their currency, dump all kinds of unregulated cheap trash into our markets while banning American goods and theirs. And now that their economy's on the ropes, they want to play victim? They expect respect? What a complete joke that is. You know, as you learn from your parents at a very young age, respect is a two-way street. It's gotta be mutual. I guess their standard is that they could endlessly abuse you, and then when you finally stand up for yourself, well then you have to kiss their feet in response. What a complete joke, and the fact that the media is not on this thing shows you just how totally compromised they are. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter, because I think China has totally exposed themselves. They've exposed themselves as the bad faith actor. All the Trump administration is asking for is a little bit of reciprocation. The demands are not crazy.
The other thing that I would note is that a Spanish official said today that maybe Europe should look to China instead of the U.S. And I can tell you that is a losing proposition for the Europeans, because what is going to happen, and we've already seen it starting last week, that as we put up the tariff wall, China's business model is predicated on this incredibly imbalanced economy and exporting low-cost goods and subsidized goods to the rest of the world. And guess where they are going to land? On the European shores. So we should, our allies, part of our discussion as our allies come in and talk to us is, how do we get China to rebalance? That is the big win here. That the U.S. is trying to rebalance toward more manufacturing. China needs to rebalance towards more consumption. If at a point we can move to that, then we can move together. If they will acknowledge this fentanyl problem. So we have to have an end to these mercantilist policies. President Trump made that a priority.
That's right.
Just as tax is a priority. I think it's unfortunate that the Chinese actually don't want to come and negotiate, because they are the worst offenders in the international trading system. They have the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world. And I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them. That they have some very smart, the economists, the academicians, technocrats within their bureaucracy, and they would be telling the leadership that we do not have the edge here. They are the surplus country, that their exports to the U.S. are 5 times our exports to China. So they can raise their tariffs, but so what?
Just engage in basic fair trade practices. That's the demand. And then the response is China selling off their bonds, hitting back with reciprocal tariffs, making crackpot demands, pretending as if they're in the driver's seat, even though they're the ones who are facing potential economic ruin here. And again, continuing with threats. Threats like this.
China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
China's now threatening the American entertainment industry by blocking American movie franchises from their market. Ooh, shiver me timbers. At the end of the day, this might actually be a good thing. I'm tired of American movies capitulating to the Chinese censors. And if anything, this further exposes them. We take their products and content, but then for American entertainment and movies to enter their market, we need to abide by their censorious demands. They don't allow American social media companies in their market. They censor and alter our video games, our movies, the list goes on, yet they're here demanding respect. I don't know about you guys, but I think it might be past the point of respect. We might be in the F around and find out territory. Basically where Kevin O'Leary's taking this thing.
What is the solution to dealing with China, a system that systematically violates human rights?
You got Xi.
Okay.
He's the supreme leader for life. What keeps him in power?
Yes.
Keeping people employed and fed. Now, when you shut down a factory, I think Janice Mackey-Ferrer just on before me, he's talked about this. When you shut down a factory, you put thousands, if not tens of thousands of people unemployed in China. They take burning torches, just like in a Frankenstein movie, up to the castle, and that's a bad outcome for the supreme leader. He knows that. Now, what's the largest consumer market on earth? The United States. Almost 40% of all goods consumed worldwide. What's the largest GDP? 25 or 26% GDP of the world? The United States of America. China needs the United States of America. We have the upper hand right now. Now's the time to settle this, because we may not be the largest economy forever, but right now we can squeeze Chinese, and I'm talking about the government, not the people, to comply with the laws and get a level playing field between China and the United States of America. If it takes a little volatility, a little indigestion, a little acid reflux, I don't care.
China is a paper tiger, and I believe they are severely misstepping in this attempt to call Donald Trump's bluff. I don't think Donald Trump is bluffing at all. And now the Chinese are doubling down on their bad behavior. They're even trying to actively make deals with the Europeans to team up against the American economy. They are further proving their bad faith. Donald Trump is finally taking on the bad actors. And I think it's plain to see for everybody. He's making it crystal clear who is who in this situation. And funnily enough, the Democrats and the Democratic media seem to be clearly taking a side as well.
Honestly, if it was Kamala Harris behaving this way, they'd call her hormonal and hysterical.
We'd have to get elected to be.
But, well, yes, and if she had been elected and if Hillary Clinton had been elected, if any woman had been elected and been acting this way, they'd say it was menopause.
She would have never stood up to China, so I think this is a mood issue, right?
No,
exactly. None of them would have had the balls to stand up to China, but Donald Trump's the man who's doing it. And now the Chinese are overstepping and exposing themselves, and clearly Donald Trump isn't playing around and they stand the most to lose. China wants to play that game. They are testing us, and I think that's going to be a very, very devastating mistake for them. And I mean, you could tell that even they feel that way, considering during all this posturing, they just happen to also plant the seed that they're open to negotiations. Yeah, no wonder. Donald Trump has them by the cojones. And that is what the media is purposely trying to ignore. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.